Hi JCA, happy Sunday. Before I even get started with today's recipe, I just want to announce that in the middle of January, I believe it's January 15th, I hope that's the Sunday, we are starting an 8-week nutrition challenge. And each week I'm going to recommend a new healthy eating habit that will be helpful for you and your entire family. And after the 8 weeks, I really believe that if you could accumulate the recommendations that I have made throughout those 8 weeks, that you could really set yourself up for a very healthy 2021 with new habits that will help you reach your weight goals and your health objectives. So register for those 8-week challenge, and at the end of 8 weeks, whoever has registered and completed the entire 8 weeks, you will enter to win a chance for a free or no charge nutrition session with me. So register at the JCA to begin that 8-week challenge. Not only will it set you and your family up for a super healthy year, but it will let you accumulate new habits that could last a lifetime. So reaching your health goals, your weight goals, let's do this together. That will be 8 weeks starting middle of January. So register for that, and I really can't wait to work with you and set you guys up for a really healthy year and a healthy lifelong adventure. So register for that, but I'm really excited to share with you this. I don't even like to call it a dessert because people immediately connect the word dessert with something that's high in sugar and possibly not healthy for you, and this is more than that. This is such a healthy treat for you to enjoy, whether it be after you eat, as a dessert, or even as part of a meal. There's so many healthy nutrients in this, what I call cake, although it's such a healthy cake that I don't even want to think of it like that as a dessert. I really want to think of it as part of your meal. And let's get started. So I introduced this machine to you last week, and I'm just like every single day trying new experiments with this. So let me tell you again what this is. This is called an Instant Pot blender. What I was looking for was a blender or something that I could use that wasn't plastic, because I oftentimes put hot liquids into what I was using as my blender, and it was plastic, and that didn't make me feel good, because anytime you heat up plastic, then the plastic particles you get into your system, you ingest them, and it's not healthy for you. So I was searching for a blender that was made from glass, and this is way more than just a blender. Not only does it blend and puree your food, but it actually heats food up also. So what that means is I can put a whole combination of ingredients into this machine and set it up to make soup. So it purees and liquefies the entire combination of ingredients that you put in there, but it also heats it up, so you end up with a delicious soup. So you can think about making tomato broth soups, or broccoli soups, or last week I made a coconut curry soup, and it's amazing. So it's the easiest thing because there's no mess. You put everything right into this one machine, and you press the button soup, and within 10 minutes you have a soup that is heated up and ready to go. So I have been experimenting with this all week, not only to make soup, but even cold things like smoothies, and it works as a food processor. So many good ways to use this. Today, I'm going to use it to make this cake that I am so excited about. So to start, the reason that I was inspired to make this to begin with is that I order all of my organic and locally grown fruits and vegetables from a company called Misfits Market. So they are a company, everything you get is locally grown and organic, and you get this big box of fruits and vegetables. You can choose if you want it to be every week or every other week, and you can even customize the types of fruits and vegetables that you want to put in there, or you can get surprised, and I've done that many times, where they send you their own combination of fruits and vegetables, and sometimes I don't even know what everything is. But that's really fun because it's a new way to include new foods that you may possibly don't ordinarily choose on your own. You get new vitamins and minerals every time you eat a food that you don't normally include in your diet. And it gives you a new taste and a flavor that maybe you haven't yet experimented with. So I have developed new likes and new favorite foods just from letting them choose new varieties of things to send me. So last week I did customize my box, and one of the things that I ordered was ginger. Ginger is really healthy, so you see what ginger looks like. It's kind of this funny looking root that they sell right at the supermarket, and fresh ginger is very healthy for you. It's really good for your digestion. It helps. It's antimicrobial, and it can help lower blood pressure, and it's an antioxidant. There's lots of healthy components in ginger. So I ordered it, and I didn't realize how many they were going to send me. So if you can see here how much, and this is actually a lot because you only need a tiny bit to flavor up your foods or add to your smoothies. You don't want to overdo it because the flavor is pretty overpowering. So I'm really just trying to add ginger to every single thing that I could possibly think of this week, including what I'm making today, but I can also think of like a ginger carrot soup, which I could use this machine for, which will be great. I often just stir fry ginger with garlic, and then I add, all kinds of vegetables and some sesame oil, some coconut aminos, which is the replacement that I use for soy sauce. It's a healthier option than soy sauce. And then some honey or something like that. And that is a great idea for that Asian style food that you might be wanting to make at home. So those are just some ideas of things that I'm going to be using my ginger for. But today I thought, let's make this delicious treat, ginger cake. And as I was sort of creatively coming up with this recipe, I've added all kinds of delicious and healthy ingredients that make this a super nutrient dense food for you to include even as part of your meal. So number one, everything that we're using today is whole unprocessed ingredients, which is always my number one recommendation to make your diet more healthy, which means that you're choosing foods that when you pick them out of the supermarket or wherever you're buying your food, that it looks the way it looked in nature. Nothing has been changed. So no ingredients have been taken out of that original food, and no ingredients have been added to it. So that makes the food whole and unprocessed. Why is that healthy for you? Because any time that the manufacturers add ingredients to your food that is not actually food, that is actually put together in a laboratory somewhere, then your body isn't going to recognize those ingredients as food either, and that can cause inflammation. Inflammation leads to all other kinds of health conditions. Inflammation prevents you from being able to lose weight. So we're always trying to avoid inappropriate inflammation, and one way to do that is by choosing whole and unprocessed foods. So everything we're going to be making today is just that, whole and unprocessed. So it might surprise you what I already have in this blender. So last night I boiled an entire orange including the peel. The entire orange, I just cleaned it off and stuck it in boiling water, and I left it there for an hour and a half. So that is what was gonna make the orange really soft and mushy, and I was able to just stick it in this blender, and within 2 seconds it was already pureed. It's going to add a delicious orange citrusy flavor to this cake. And you know, actually there are nutrients in the peel. The peel is high in fiber. It really helps your body eliminate toxins. That is the best thing that is found in an orange peel or a grapefruit peel. While it's not normally edible, I have made it now edible because I boiled it for an hour and a half, and now I already put it in my Instant Pot blender and I pureed it for just 2 seconds, and it was already soft in no time. So I have a whole orange already in there, and to that mixture I'm going to add 4 eggs. I really like to use the Vital Farms eggs. That is the brand that I choose, and these eggs are they come from pastured chickens that are cage free and permitted to roam freely. They are fed healthy feed, and why that makes a difference, for the same reason as I said before, when you're choosing whole and unprocessed foods, you get less inflammation. Same thing when you're choosing food that comes from animals that were allowed to roam freely, not stuck in cages, and not fed unhealthy grain feed. Those animals, if they are, like I said, you know, caged and, you know, is stuck in those stressful situations, then those animals are inflamed. So when we eat those animals, then we're getting their inflammation. So another way to reduce inappropriate inflammation, not only by choosing whole unprocessed foods, but also choosing our animal protein from animals that were treated with care. So all important you know, ways to just make sure we're optimizing the nutrition and the health benefits of our diet, and we're using food as medicine rather than food that could harm us. Okay, let me just clean my hands off. So to that boiled orange that is pureed, I added 4 eggs. I am going to add, this is a 1/2 cup of organic and raw honey. I'm hoping a 1/2 cup will make it just plenty sweet. But actually, I wanted to describe to you the health benefits of honey. So number 1, honey is antimicrobial. So you can use it if you are fending off a skin like infection or rash or something like that. You can rub honey on there and it will actually inhibit the infection from getting worse. That's number 1. Number 2 is that honey does not act in the body the same way that sugar does. So sugar is a processed food. Remember that one description of processing food is not just adding ingredients to it, but it's taking away. So when you think about the way that sugar is processed or the way that white flour is processed, ingredients are taken out of it. So that's an example of processing where ingredients are taken out. So sugar is a processed ingredient, table sugar, as is white flour, and those are ingredients that trigger an immediate insulin response. Insulin is that hormone that takes sugar out of your blood and put it into your cells. That's what insulin works to do, and that's important. It's very important that insulin takes sugar out of your blood and puts it into your cells. The problem is that insulin also can cause a little bit of inflammation. Insulin also slows down your metabolism a little bit, so it's a little bit harder to lose weight if your insulin is constantly being triggered. And so when you choose to use honey instead of sugar, honey does not trigger that insulin response the same way that sugar does. So if you're trying to avoid that slowing of the metabolism and you're always trying to reduce inflammation, then avoiding that immediate insulin response constantly throughout the day from eating sugar, choosing honey instead of that will help, is one way of doing it. There's many, but that's just one way, is choose desserts that have honey instead of sugar if you're choosing to eat dessert. Okay, now let me just clean my hands one more time because that honey is quite sticky. But this honey in particular, I got it from Trader Joe's, and it was like, you opened it up and just smelled so good. You just can tell how fresh it is. Again, this is unprocessed, right? The honey looks exactly the way that it looked when it was picked out of nature. So another way to choose foods that are unprocessed is by looking at the ingredient list. Yep, the only ingredient in this is organic honey. So that's how you know it is not processed, because it only has the one ingredient, and that might actually be one of the challenges. I don't even want to give this away, but join that 8-week challenge and you'll learn about my challenges on how to get a healthier, whole unprocessed diet that doesn't cause inflammation and actually uses food as medicine. So don't forget that. Okay, what else do I have? I don't want to take up too much time talking. Okay, so I have my eggs, my orange, my honey. This recipe, I'm going to use 2 cups of almond flour. Again, I'm making a little bit of a mess here. Almond flour, another good replacement. Let me do this over here. For white flour. Why is it a good replacement? Because when you look at the ingredient on the label, the only ingredient there is almonds. So that, again, is a great way to know you're using a whole unprocessed food, and it won't trigger that insulin response the same way that white flour does. So again, we're making really good choices in every single ingredient in this delicious dessert. Okay. So 2 cups of this almond flour, and then we can get into some of my other really good healthy ingredients there. And I just love how easy this is, right? Everything is gonna get done in this one machine here. There's no mess except for the little mess I'm making here, just pouring out this almond flour. Okay, so then we're gonna add a teaspoon of, actually, I think I'm gonna do a half a teaspoon of almond extract. Almond extract is one of those flavors that I always love. I don't know what, it just has this delicious smell. It adds such a good flavor. So that's one. I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of sea salt. Anything sweet like honey always needs a little bit of salt. Salt and sweet go really great together. I'm going to add a whole teaspoon of baking soda. So just want to make sure I don't make too much of a mess here. Oop. Okay, that's a half. The baking soda is the one thing that you have to be a little careful with the measuring. It has to be pretty exact. Okay, what else do I have? Oh, and then I can't forget my chopped ginger. So again, I'm being really careful with the amount because a little bit goes a really long way. So put that in there. And I think that's it for the blending. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so just to remind you, I have an entire orange that with the skin and the peel and all, I had boiled it in water for about an hour and a half, and it is ready to be, I put it in this machine and it pureed in 2 seconds. I added 4 eggs from my cage-free, organic, pastured chickens. I added 2 cups of almond flour. I added a little bit of baking soda, a little bit of almond extract, and a little bit of ginger. And I do remember what I forgot. I knew there was something. Cinnamon. And I added a half a cup of honey. Honey is a great substitute for sugar. Anytime you see a dessert, if you're trying to, just trying to get a little bit healthier and you still want to have some dessert, look for a dessert that that contains honey instead of sugar. Okay, thank goodness for this bowl over here. Okay. All right, so we're just gonna, let me show you how this machine works. I think you're gonna love it, see how easy it is. There we go. So on the machine, just so you know, there's options for making nut butter. So again, a great way to add unprocessed food to your diet is just making things from scratch. Literally just sticking a whole bag of almonds in here and pressing go, and you'll have nut butter all made from your own self at home, nothing added to it. So another great way to include healthier food in your diet is just making it from scratch, and this makes it really easy. But you can make pureed food. So if you have a baby at home and you want to make your own baby food, if you need to puree your food for a recipe or for whatever reason, this is an easiest way to do it. You can even make some different kinds of nut milks in here, and you could make soup. So and smoothies. That's definitely something I do almost every single day. So, okay, so right now I'm just gonna put it on the nut butter one, just because that seems like the most appropriate. And then you just let it go. It gives you a time period that it's gonna just keep going on its own form, and within 5 minutes, this is all ready to go. And it's just gonna go up. So, okay, so when that's finished, by the way, if I were making soup or I wanted to make something hot, then you choose that option on the machine, and you will see that the machine heats up first. It gets to a certain temperature, and then it does its job in the pureeing and pulsing. So that's kind of the way it works. But other than that, I have a huge amount here of chopped nuts and dates, and I even made some shavings of a carrot, because I was sort of envisioning like a carrot nut ginger cake. So these ingredients are so healthy for you. These are whole organic nuts, looking exactly the way they looked in nature. Nuts have magnesium in them, they have healthy fats in them. There's actually research to show that, stop it for a minute so that you could hear me. There's even research to show that people who eat nuts actually have a healthier weight than people who do not. I'm not sure if it's because those people who are eating whole nuts are generally also eating a healthier diet, or is it because there is something specific in the nuts that just they're filling, they are full of healthy, good, whole, nutrient dense ingredients. So I highly recommend including nuts in a very healthy diet. And then the other thing I have in here is dates. I've talked about before how healthy dates are. Dates are good for your bones. So if you are at all concerned with osteopenia or osteoporosis, then include a few dates every single day in your diet, and that will improve your bone health. Dates can also improve your hormone balance. So that's really healthy, and they are also full of good fiber and healthy for your digestion. And I've mentioned this before, but I always think it's an interesting fact that for women who are pregnant, if you are full term and at the end of your pregnancy, then the dates will help speed up time to delivery of the baby. So only if you're at full term, you do not want to eat many dates, because it takes, I think, like 3 or 4 dates per day at least for that to help happen, to speed up the delivery of your pregnancy. But you certainly don't want to do that unless you're full term and the baby's ready to go. So anyway, so great dates, nuts in there. And then I have some shaved carrots. Carrots are, we always have heard from our moms that carrots are good for our vision, and that is absolutely true, because carrots have an ingredient called a carotenoid. Carotenoid is what turns into vitamin A in your body, and that's super healthy for your eye health and your vision, as well as your immune health and lots of other things. So these ingredients are not going to get blended and pureed. I'm actually just going to stir these ingredients in after that is finished. So let's do that. Let me just see. Okay, let me just put this on one more time, just to make sure it's really ready. But it does look pretty good to me. One more time. All right, there we go. Okay, so what I have, this is a glass baking pan that I have just rubbed a little bit of ghee around. So ghee is my substitute for butter. That is a really healthy substitute for butter. It has a higher smoke point, so that's one of the reasons I use it, because I don't want it to burn when I'm cooking at a high temperature. And I'm definitely going to need a little spatula to make sure we empty this out well. Give me one sec. And ghee also has an ingredient in there called short chain fatty acids. And short chain fatty acids is something that is released by the bacteria in our gut. And it is very healthy for our digestion, our immune health, and all those kinds of good things. And that's why I choose ghee instead of butter. Also, if some people do have an intolerance for the casein that's in dairy. Casein is a protein, is a component in dairy, like milk and stuff like that. And ghee does not have sometimes that same problem doesn't cause that same problem for some people who have that intolerance. So if you are intolerant to dairy and you need a butter substitute, ghee might be a good option. It's clarified butter. That's what ghee is. Okay. Trying to get all this out, but you can see how nicely, I hope you can see. Can you see it? Oh, I'll show it to you. Let me after I finish this, I will lift it up so you can see how nicely this really worked and put everything together. I talk about this sometimes that, my husband and I end up having to eat everything that I make. So while I'm talking to you, I'm really trying to make this a pretty good recipe as well, because we're gonna have to eat it. So it takes a little bit of coordinating to do all this talking and make something that's really good as well at the same time. But the recipe is good. I just can't make any mistakes. So anyway, I hope you can see how nicely that machine put this together. It's a really delicious looking batter. I'll be able to scrape that a little bit more, but after I end the video. But I just wanted to show you what I'm going to be doing here is putting all these nuts and dates and shaved carrots in here. And I'm just going to mix it all together and then put it in an oven that's been preheating to 350 degrees, and I'm probably going to leave it in there for about 45 to 50 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed this delicious cake recipe that is healthy, and you could absolutely use it for any meal, and it does not have to be considered a dessert, or it's definitely guiltless. So after I put this together and put it in the oven, I will send pictures of what it looks like. But as a reminder, register for that 8-week nutrition challenge starting in middle of January. Just either call or talk to someone at the JCA and just let them know that you want to be a part of it. And again, whoever finishes the full 8 weeks, you will win or enter to win a free nutrition session with me. So it was great to see you guys. I will show you the end result once this is all made, and let me know if you want the exact recipe. I will absolutely post it if you're interested, so let me know. Nice to see you guys. Have a good week. I'll see you next time. Bye.